All
right, I'm hitting the live button.
Mhm.
And we're live. Hello, welcome to the first pirate chat of the, well, the only pirate chat of the Patriot Act Digital Protest event. Yes, make sure that your video is muted, please.
Yes.
Thanks. So, this is Pirate Chat, which just means that it's sort of an informal thing. And we're just gonna have a good old pirate chat.
Good old pirate time.
A good old pirate time with this good old pirate chat. The main subject, of course, on the floor is the Patriot Act, but we are welcome to talk about literally anything else.
We can also open it up to just general, digital rights, privacy, that sort of thing, or we can go completely off topic because this is the pirate chat. So this is the super casual part of the live stream series where we're just here to talk. It might even be about Animal Crossing or Pokemon. We don't know yet. But that topic came up in the pre-show, so we'll find out.
Indeed.
I'm Anthony J. I am the outreach chair for the United States Pirate Party. If you do not know, can we get a few more introductions in here?
I'm Megan, former vice chair, former chair, former lots of things, but I'm mostly kind of like I've now been placed as the Wisconsin representative, but I also mostly like to liaison with PPI. But COVID makes it a little hard too right now.
Yeah. All right.
I'm Yari. I am the chair of the Pirate National Committee of the USPP currently.
Yep. Right.
Until they kick me
Michael,
out.
would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Mickey Sinclair. I'm the vice president from Pirate Without Borders.
Oh,
nice. I do international things. PPI, I do things work together. I'm also sort of a team in international coordination for German pirates. I've just left the German pirate party because I was doing so much shit. It was disgusting. I hate doing board work and shit, whole crazy shit. I just want to be like activist and do things and not all this horrible background. Oh no.
You're a boots on the ground kind of guy. You're a boots on the ground, kind of get your hands dirty.
I'm an individual pirate. And I want to influence a lot more pirates into the pirate movement to actually do activism instead of sort of hardcore politics and and there's a lot of energy putting into this politics that's actually not really. It's more like I wouldn't say time wasting. It's nice to be active if you're enjoying yourself. I don't mind that at all, But there are a few people who just get burnt out doing politics and investing so much energy and I'm trying to sort of building on a really relaxed atmosphere so everyone can get involved individually without the pressure of being a president or doing shit like that.
Give me your advice. Give me your advice. How do you do that? How do we? Because that is something I think that we're still the U.S. Pirate Party is still kind of small.
Yeah.
And so we've been kind of fluctuating, but we're still kind of small and growing. And so it's how do you even?
Yeah, so we all wear 15 different hats because there are just so few of us.
Yeah.
There were 30,000 German pirates. Okay, in the good old days, and fewer, and
can't really hear you, Mickey. It's you're a little
muffled.
Hey, Mickey.
There's about 30,000.
Oh, there we go. Oh, nope.
And they were popular before, And the problem is that there's so many jobs and only about 1,000 active pirates in Germany. and they're doing. Everyone's doing like he's in the board on regional level, then it's on the board state level, and doing other sorts of all sorts of things. Too much pressure. I just jumped out of that. Oh,
That is a lot of pressure. That
Yeah.
is a lot.
That is a lot.
and it's a lot of energy, and you put you put a lot of time in it, and it's not very enriching. It's not sort of for a volunteer scene or activist scene. I just want to get do things with other people who are, so I my main thematics are like migration, and all sorts of things like that, and I just do the groundwork and visit other people who are doing the similar things.
Yeah.
And I just visit them and help them and just work with them all the time. You know, I know lots of different groups and lots of different people. I've got a very, very big network over the years, and I just don't have the time to be a pirate anymore. Yeah, as a political pirate, it's just crazy, you know. And there's no the time you invest into all this, it's not productive, you know. So I just said, no, I'm leaving. I'm not a German pirate anymore. I'm just a pirate activist, and that's it. I'm still a pirate, though, on international level, on the movement, on the global level. I don't mind that. That's how I joined, actually. That's how I became a pirate, is on the global movement side. You know, I know pirates all over the world. In the meantime, I'm very good. I've got a very good network. I know Indian pirates, Australian, all over the place.
Yeah. Well, we need those pirate activists too, right?
Yeah,
we can't, it's not just about electing people to office.
I had a chance to join the chat. I've just seen you've gone live, so I had a chance. It's mostly early morning, and I'm sleeping normally.
You definitely should get some sleep. It's like, wait, isn't it like 1 a.m. in Germany?
It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I'm way off because I'm on Central again. Oh,
Yeah.
bloody hell. That sounds like a really rough morning, mate.
Yeah, I've been up all night working on. I'm like into mechanics and logistics. That's my main job. I repair machines and do all sorts of mechanical things. And sometimes you can't do that in the daytime, and sometimes we do 2 or 3 times a year nights. So there's no electricity shouted on you. You can just work.
Yeah, you also don't have a bunch of customers coming in your front door saying, "Hey, I need this done for whatever," and you're ringing up the phone and go like, "Hey, you have my order ready yet?"
We work for the for pharmacy, for the farmer, and it's we deliver the small pharmacies around, and it's a huge retail farmer handler in Europe. It's European. We have a French partner and a German partner. It's a very, very huge company in the meantime.
Wow.
It was just very in a small regional as I started it nearly 30 years ago, and it's it's huge. It's really big. And I just do all the logistics and technical shit in the background, so it keeps moving.
That's good.
Sounds like it keeps you busy on top of pirate stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I've got another 10 years, I think, until I go to retirement. So I'm going to sort of a little bit stand back on all the volunteer work that I've done in the meantime.
Gosh, retirement! What a concept.
And I just want to really, if I'm going to invest energy into something, it's got to be worth it. And pinpoint the really interesting things and go for it.
One of the things that I think, I don't know, like the concept of retirement is almost you mentioned that, and it's laughable to even foreign to me. Like
it's almost gone in the US.
Who can do this, It's also here all the young people will never have a retirement fund or shit like that. I'm probably the very last generation who actually has this luxury of being retired.
Yeah.
I mean, the struggle exists in Europe too. I know.
Yeah.
It's good to know, or maybe not so good to know. I was kind of hoping that maybe they were faring a bit better.
No, I don't.
It's good to not be alone.
There is a strong social movement at the moment. We've just got rid of all the conservative vampires here in Germany.
Oh, is that what they're called?
Oh yeah. They're like leeches from Hades.
Yes, fuck them, yeah. Conservative vampires, fuck them.
Oh man.
They just all they all want us to be zombies.
Yeah.
So I guess
Zombies, yeah, fuck that.
It's not
that's actually
much different than us.
it's an interesting point
similar
though.
worldwide. Anyway,
The German elections,
similar shit.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't really the German elections were recent. And that
Yeah, we've got.
did the Pirates gain during that? I didn't actually see.
No.
No? Okay.
I think did we lose? I don't remember if we lost one or not. I can't.
I didn't keep track of it.
I only paid light attention during
the thing that was major for us for me was the Czech parliamentary
the Czech
elections.
Pirates.
That was huge. That was huge. I mean, it was gonna be so big, and then it was so big in the not way we wanted, which is very frustrating. I don't know if you saw that, Mickey. This whole
they learned a huge lesson from having 18 seats and only having 4 afterwards. They have learned a huge lesson. So
I suppose.
Again, and they do Suzanne listing. They'll probably do it solo next time. They've learned a lot about how not to do it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think that's necessarily the lesson to take away from it. I think it's. Is it?
Influenced the politics in Czechoslovakia very strongly. Very huge.
Yeah, they definitely had an influence there.
As a party with all the city mayors in Czechia, and they wrote the program before. And all these people who were on this same party list, agreed on this program. And there's lots of pirate points in there, so it's not all lost as everybody sort of views just because you
for sure.
This could be actually a very clever plan in the background to actually, if it goes wrong, it wasn't the pirates because only 4 of us in Parliament.
It's really not our fault. We can point the finger this way. It's his fault.
That's true.
Anything that goes wrong in the world, we're blameless because we don't have any power. That's
we
pirate
don't.
We don't. You tried to say you should give us power. We should.
In Germany, it was very similar. We had we influenced politics here quite heavily, actually, with different parties, and our ideas were stolen from all different parties. And built differently, sort of conservative or the social democrats or other sort of thematics, but they took the basic idea and changed it a little bit, and actually made laws in Germany about it. Yeah. So it wasn't a bad thing being a pirate and things like that. We did change things.
Yeah. And that happens a lot in the US too.
Well, has it though? Not from us.
But not from us. Not from us.
Sponsorship and you need money. It's just otherwise you're not going to.
It's happened from. I mean, it's happened from like the Green Party, arguably, and the Libertarians, arguably, and individual politicians more than anything else.
Oh yeah.
Right. I would say that's the thing. Is like
but we also see the Greens and the Libertarians here continue to be kept down by the fact that the DNC and the GOP keep leeching off of their ideas individually. They're just think tanks.
I think it's
a Microsoft Apple argument on the political scale. I mean, I'm just gonna
You're not wrong. But I don't think it's. But I mean, like even with regards to that, I don't think it's necessarily just because of the think tank effect. I think it's also because there are these established rules and regulations about how you enter the game, right? There are rules and regulations about how you get into the elections in the first place and how you stay in the elections, and about gerrymandering, as we've seen with Mitch, right?
But the thing I'm saying is, yes, there are other reasons. For example, our voting system is just generally terrible and it keeps minor parties down. However,
It's
the
designed.
thing,
It's a design feature.
it is a designed feature, but
Yeah.
the thing that curbs these movements and keeps them from getting powerful enough to shake up the system is the fact that the establishment parties will, say they're learning a little bit. The Greens would be putting up even more of a fight if nobody was listening to them about climate change.
It's the
But there are-
Band-Aid on top of the
Yeah.
gaping
There are
wound.
actually ways to do that, and you actually join the Democratic Party or the Republican parties where you chance of a seat, you get a seat, and you get in.
We're not a parliamentary system.
And then you
We're
say,
not.
I'm
We're not.
leaving the
We
party,
should be, but we're not.
Yeah. But-
No,
I
We're
mean,
not
you're right.
parliamentary, but yeah.
You've already got a seat.
No,
Yeah,
what you
but-
have to
propose
do
it,
is kind of like what AOC had tried to do. Like, I mean, tried. I say tried because they are currently failing. Where you go in as this whole radical kind of, we'll fight for everything, social democrat kind of person, but you kind of get bullied and pushed to fall in rank and file.
Yeah.
You stick a toe out of line, you will be harassed, you will get calls, you'll get threats, you'll get like ill treatment,
Yeah.
you'll get
Here's-
snubbed. It becomes a situation where social behaviors take precedence over lawmaking, at least
Yeah.
as far as I can see.
No, you're right. I mean, there is like this whole, yeah, I mean, well, I think that's true. I think that's true to a certain extent, like not just in the US, that's true across the board,
Yeah.
right? There is a
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
well, yes.
And a lot of bad ones too.
We have this like a social net in Europe where if you do fall down and you land softly here, but where you live, if you fall down, you get totally fucked. There's no stopping. There's no safety net.
There's
Very
no,
little,
no. You lose your job due to COVID, you're fucked. You lose your home due to COVID, yeah, you're
There's
fucked.
nothing
There's
to
nothing
save.
here. No,
Yeah.
it's a country. I think I would say is currently built on social precedent. So if I had to suffer to buy my $120,000 home back in the 80s, then you should also suffer for having to buy your $400,000 home in the 2020s, because let's just do that. It's all about, we don't want to help you because I had to suffer to get to where I am, and I had to struggle, and I had to fight, and no one helped me, so why should I help you?
Yeah. That's a big thing with college in the United States too. We need to do at least something to make higher education more affordable in this country. But the primary argument against it is almost always, well, I had to pay fully for my college, so why
What
should
about
you get
me?
to? Yeah,
I still have student loans. Why don't you get student loans? I'm still paying them off. I
Why don't
paid
you take
3
my
times the
student
worth.
loans too?
Yeah, it's like I've paid 3 times the amount of my student loan and it's still not gone. Why do you get yours wiped? It comes down to that argument, and it's just absolutely ludicrous.
I read these Australian scientists. They sort of were reading the DNA and genetics from humankind, and they found for 22,000 years ago there was like a coronavirus in Asia somewhere. It already broke out, and before it became part of our gene system, it was like 5,000 year period before it actually was harmless, and we got used to it as human beings. And a shitload of Asians died, wiped out like half of Asia. Where it was like Japanese, sort of South China, and to Vietnam. They found this genome in the genetic. And they said that it's been here before, and it breaks out now and again under humans. And this is like a different advanced, but we've had it before, and it stays. They think influenza would also stay about 5,000 years. It takes about this time, any virus, for the human time to get used to it. So it's
vaguely remember there being some nasty ass pandemic in Japan about 600 to 700 years ago on record. Just pulling it from memory. Not that I'm looking at anything right now to quote me on anything, but it's like, no, I kind of remember. I was one of those weird kids that got really obsessed about a particular country's history that
Mhm.
wasn't my own when they were kids. So I mean, this is my thing. But no, it's ringing a bell, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, there was like this huge quarantine issue and like the death toll. It was like the plague in Europe, but
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
Japan.
yeah. It's
It's like,
it's worldwide known in history. That it's also written down in all sorts of hieroglyphics. And again, if you go anywhere, they've always had sort of, oh, we've had a plague here, and millions have died. Like, it's crazy, huh? And it's every maybe once every 1,000 years somewhere on the world some viruses break out.
Oh yeah.
Another interesting fact with all the ice melting, there's going to be lots of old viruses coming out that we've never met before.
Yeah, we're gonna have some
Really
reboots.
gooey.
it's like Jurassic Park reboot, but with viruses. Isn't this great?
Yeah. The whole Earth is actually a petri shale. You test tube dummies.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
But how is this
Yep.
going to go? It's getting crazy. I think Delta is not the highest sort of mutant level what we've got this year. It's quite aggressive, but it's got to get worse before it gets better anyway. So I think isolate is the best. Mask up, isolate. Don't fuck around with any shit like this.
Oh yeah.
We've got some nutcases running around here, hallelujah, and whatever, shit.
You got nutcases. We got like kids like licking stuff for internet clout here.
Yeah. Well, the U.S. I don't know how it is in Germany or Europe, but the U.S. is known for having a pretty big like anti-intellectualism, anti-science problem. So when we have to deal with something like a pandemic, it just doesn't go well because, unfortunately, sizable amount of our population doesn't even believe that it's real.
I think a lot of that was really exacerbated by misinformation and by a lack of cohesive like government.
I mean, Americans kind of want a short answer, a short, quick blurb, a sentence to say, a gotcha, a tagline.
I feel like that's anyone, though.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like yes, but it's really become a common problem.
Our biggest problem in Europe is the homeopathy.
Homeopathy. Yep.
Yeah, we have a massive problem because our social net, safety net, supported homeopathy for decades, and it gets paid for from the state insurance, health insurance, and they've started blocking it now and saying, and there's a whole generation who believe in this shit. And it gets paid for from your health insurance here.
I mean, it's one thing to go and use that for other things, but with COVID especially, that's
I know. It's like, okay, I'm all cool with the whole like go to a chiropractor, go do acupuncture, find a good way to do some good stretching. Hey, if eucalyptus oil helps you clear your sinuses because you have allergies, go right ahead. But if you got a cold, you have cancer, you have like the chicken pox,
you have COVID.
You have COVID. That's not going to cure it. Crystals ain't cutting it, sis. You need to go get to the doctor.
If you have COVID, please don't intake horse deworming medicine.
Oh gosh, right? Do you know how much that stuff has increased in price because of that?
No.
One of my friends actually works with horses. The prices of that stuff has gone up significantly. It's like 300 times as expensive as it normally is.
All right. Okay. I have people who are like a part of like my Wiccan pagan witch friends, right? Who are very, very up in earthy and holistic care, right?
Yeah.
And they've had people come and say, "What's a good cure for COVID?" And someone actually said sarcastically, wormwood, hemlock, and there was like one other, I can't even remember. Basically to 3 baseline poisons. As in,
Right.
you ingest this, the likelihood of you dying is like 9 to 10. Like, you're like 90% gonna die or end up in the hospital bleeding out your ass, death kind of thing. And there are people who have taken it. There are people who ingest bleach.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I'm just
ingesting
like,
of
look,
bleach is
look,
a
if you are
huge
going to do
problem,
this, if you're
too.
going to ingest bleach, if you're going to drink wormwood, all right, if you're going to go after Queen Anne's lace and ingest it in mass quantity for the thought of it'll
God.
cure COVID, I just want you to
God.
die, all right?
No,
Just go out and
No,
just shoot
no, no,
yourself
no,
and be
no, no,
done
no,
with
no,
it
no, no, no,
already.
no,
Like,
no, 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 Meg.
Oh,
No,
no,
no.
there's like a level of
I-
stupidity on that one.
That's where I draw the
No,
line.
no.
That's where I draw the line.
No.
That's what, because you're
Okay.
crossing over into eugenics. You're crossing over into
I've
eugenics
heard
right
that.
there.
No.
I've
If you're
heard the
stupid
very-
enough to
Hey,
think that you're
hey,
going to you explain your own
stupidity.
research, but the thing literally says
we can be
poison.
upset.
Like,
We can be
any other
upset.
site would say this is poison,
We
right?
can be upset, but let's.
This isn't eugenics.
I-
This is if you're dumb enough to go ingest literal poison that is known to kill people.
Right.
Like, it
I
says
hear
so.
you. I hear you. But what I'm
Just
saying
go.
is stupidity on an issue, one, does not mean stupidity in general. Two,
Oh, man.
does not mean stupidity always. It doesn't.
No.
Even no
And-
matter what your history with people is, people can be educated.
If they are willing to be.
Something
If
to
they
that.
If
are
they're
willing
willing
to
to be.
listen
If they're willing.
and be educated on the matter. But you have people that say, I did my own research and
Well, sure.
wormwood's a great method.
I'm not saying that they will be
Ivermectin won a
educated.
Nobel Prize.
But yeah,
Also-
but like
Simplifying,
you have
oversimplifying
to
information
differ
is a point of like
in-
laziness and
In
stupidity.
facto education, you have to differ a lot and specialize. It's not about any education. It's good education.
Yeah.
More,
It's
you
about
have to-
removing
the social
like-
good basis education is very good, but you can't go to like a church school or shit like that. What they teach you, you go nuts. You know,
Yes,
It
yes.
fucks you up. You know?
Yeah.
It's-
But
they teach you what they want
Like-
you to
But-
be, and if you can't, if you don't learn to critically think at a young age,
Exactly what I've been talking
we can
about
fix
with
it,
both.
though. We can fix it though. Stupidity does not have to be a moral issue.
And
Stupidity is
any
indeed a
education,
problem,
accepting
though.
any education is bad. You always have to think twice and rewind and say, "What the fuck did you say?"
yeah, sure, yeah,
I know.
yeah.
It's like critical thinking has been lost, and it's like I've honestly been bitching about this.
That is what every philosopher in every age writes.
And I think it's freaking okay. Bureaucracy has made people stupid. Okay, here's prime example. Prime example. It's like I have
Go back
tried.
to Plato. Wrote the same thing.
Yeah, I think it
But
was Plato
bureaucracy currently is to the point of like it's not my fault. It's his fault. It's his fault. It's his fault. And it just keeps getting passed around until somebody goes, "Wait, what are we talking about again?" And that's currently what's going on. The like medical system that we're currently dealing with right now.
I'm not saying like
But I've had
I hear.
discussions with a senator. Like I've tried to have a discussion with a senator and explain why the current system for Medicare is absolute bullshit. Like how hard it is to get a doctor, let alone if you're mentally ill, like myself, and who has a mental disability, like myself, to be taken seriously in the medical world. It is left to bureaucracy.
You have to
call somebody. Yeah, that too. I would hate to think how a woman of color or a man of color has to deal with the bullshit at hand, let alone being able to call your senator or write your senator an email because there's no writing in. No, they're immediately sent to spam box. You are given 30 seconds to leave a voicemail.
Yeah.
The only way to reach these people is by writing out a letter and sending it with the hopes that someone will get back to you. How it got to Tammy Duckworth was it took 6 months, if not 8, ringing her phone until finally it got to a point where I am not able to see any doctor because of my insurance. I have Medicare and TRICARE. You want to talk about the gold standard for federal health care? That's those two. And I can't see anyone. There's no doctors right now because there are therapists quitting in mass because of burnout. There are surgeons quitting in mass because of the level of, I can't do this anymore. You have nurses that are refusing to keep working because of the amount of misinformation and people coming in saying, no, I didn't get the shot, but I think I got this really bad cold and I'm going to die. And it's just this level of like, what am I doing? The thing is, we're not treating this like an actual war, a health war, a war on a goddamn virus. You don't leave soldiers up on constant first battle line on the front lines for months on end. No, you give them rotations. And that's what you should do.
Counterpoint, that is also what the US does, though.
Yeah, but no. I have like several nurse friends. A few of them are anti-vaxxers, but that's a whole other problem. But there's like, I know plenty of nurse people who are now quitting because they've been on 24-hour.
They're quitting.
24
and
a
whole bunch of them are on strike too. Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I'm talking about, is the fact that we do not use nurses in rotation as we should, because this is a mental draining problem. And then you end up with places where you have
especially right now,
mind-numbing, and it's all about the system is designed to make for profit. And then you have people going like, I don't want to give big pharma or big medicine or whatever my money. I'll go find some holistic healer that'll do something about this, right? But then they end up at their door anyways. And they take up beds, they take up space, and they end up causing bigger problems and then go right out to the world again and preach the exact same bullshit that they had been. Like, I had carbon monoxide poisoning a couple months ago. And I had to be treated in the ER because there weren't any hospital beds for me to go to. Like, I was about 2 to 15% off the fatal level at the time.
Welcome,
and
Mitch.
I could not be treated at the hospital because there were no beds to be treated at the location because everyone's full with COVID.
Yep.
And
no, it's rough right now.
It's just having to deal with that. And then there's just so many massive problems. And I do not mean to be like taking spotlight, but I do want to touch on the Medicare issue that it's currently plaguing
It's an important
me.
issue.
And I don't have anywhere to talk about it really, because I want to throw myself through the wall because of how frustrating it is. All right. Yeah. So HMOs are bullshit. Never, ever, 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 ever buy an HMO, first off.
Oh, yeah.
Second,
yeah.
Okay, because HMOs are like house plans. To put it this way, an HMO versus a PPO. HMO, you are in a house plan, so that your primary care physician must recommend a doctor or send you to a specialist by their voice, their order, their prescription. And they must send it off, and then your insurance, Medicare in this case for me, can either deny or approve it. They can deny it based on several reasons, one of which is, well, there's not a Medicare-covered doctor. The facility they work at might take Medicare, but the doctor recommended doesn't. So you cannot see that doctor. So, for example, if I want to go see Dr. Jones at Blurb Blurb Hospital down the street, right, for a back problem, first what I must do is contact my insurance program and see if they have any doctors at that facility that take Medicare. Second, the next thing I must do is then have my primary care physician assess me and agree to the fact that I have a problem that must be treated. And I can be seen at this hospital outside of their facility because my insurance is geo-locked by actual building and zip code. I can't go to any other place. I must go strictly to the place that's on my card and only my card. If my doctor chooses to send me to another doctor who is not covered by Medicare or their building does not take Medicare, then I'm shit out of luck. There's really nothing that can be done. I have to pay
you have to
out
either
of
like
pocket.
go back and say, please send me to someone else, and if they say no.
I'm the only way I could be seen right now, because I've been on a wait list. I've been out on a wait list for a couple of specialists now for about 5 months. And it's not because I can't pay. It's because I'm refusing to pay out of pocket 100% for this. And then bill my insurance on my own.
Right.
You see, you can pay for stuff out of pocket and then privately do the work yourself to try to get money back. But the turnaround for cash back is about 6 months. Most places will charge you upfront out of pocket. You can buy packages of how many sessions or how many treatments upfront. And when you have two federal insurances that are like top tier, supposed to be best of care, can't be denied, wave your card, you get in for free kind of thing. Nope,
Yeah.
nope. And then when you get into the factor of two insurances, if the first one isn't pinged or charged or like notified that there was a thing to go through, then the second one cannot accept it. They will not accept it because if the first one didn't take you, then why should I?
Fun.
And
Yeah.
it's honestly a nightmare. It is really, and it's designed that way. And the same thing with the PPO. I mean, yes, you could buy, but you have to pay. And depending upon your zip code, not by your state, not by the company, but by your zip code. By a 60613, the price that I'm going to get for my new plan, my PPO, is $0. When I lived in 60640, I think it was. It's just less than a mile away from my current location, right? It was going to cost me $100 for the same exact plan. And it's different by zip code. And then if you're under 65, you still have to purchase a plan under Medicare because you're still a childbearing age, is to put it that way. Like if I had any fertility problems, any female gynecological issues to look at, I would have to first check with a private company that owns my Medicare plan. It's a Medicare contract is what they'll call it, which means they have a private company that will take you. Like Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, Humana, all these other private organizations have fingers in the pie of Medicare. And then they can control what drugs cost, how much their plan is, if you can see X doctor, and if they'll pay for this much. If you need a life-saving transplant that only one doctor that can perform in some state 3 over from you, tough titties, you're not getting it because they're not going to cover that. They're out of state, out of network, and definitely not up there. So we can probably find some second-rate doctor here that might be able to do it because they looked and watched a YouTube tutorial, to pull this off. But other than that, good luck, unless you want to pay up front and out of pocket. And
well, the thing about this,
the world.
The thing about this is that the worst part is that I'm sure we all know someone or we know multiple people, or we've been through it ourselves. This is not a rare occurrence. Our system is currently so broken that a lot of people are having this issue. It's not just a few people. It's not some subset of people. It's not just, the people that, the ruling class likes to disparage all the time. It is so many people.
If you got a second national passport from a different country and got health insurance, or buy a private health insurance in Europe, when it's far cheaper here, and then say you're international and you have to go to a doctor in America, and your nationalism from a European country would pay for it. You probably would say you'd have to have, but it's probably cheaper than actually getting medical help in America.
Like my private plan, I get a penalty. It's about
Mickey, you're cutting out a bit.
You're covering your speaker.
Oh, okay. Is it better now?
Your microphone.
Oh yeah,
much. You're just covering your microphone.
Okay. I was too far away. You could probably get a different national from a different country in Europe or somewhere else and buy in, and they have better health insurance across here and international health insurance. So you could actually.
Is that what we have to do now?
I had a friend who literally ditched the United States to live in Germany. Like I have a friend who literally just cut ties and ditched it, went to Germany as an expat, basically left all their debt here, cut ties, and went to another country in pure desperation. And guess what? They're thriving now. And the problem that they had is that they had a really weird cancer that they couldn't deal with here in the United States because in order to cure it or take care of it, they would be in debt more. Their school student loans were already crushing at $150,000 at this point and incurring more debt. And their cancer was like stage 2, but likely if they don't get treatment within the next couple of months, they're gonna die. But there was a wait list, and if you wanted to exceed the wait list and boost yourself up, you'd have to pay to get up that wait list. Like literally pay.
That's wild. That's wild.
And so it's like they threw their hands up and moved out to Germany.
We have so many issues that becoming a dual citizen of a different country is legitimately an option for.
Here's one thing that I'm interested in, because like there's like this interesting bit to me where a lot of the countries that we talk with in terms of pirate relations say this thing I hear a lot often, which is that the U.S. is much farther along in terms of LGBTQ rights and stuff, and I think that also, from what I've seen, carries over into medical, especially rights, which is interesting. And I guess I don't know. It's just I guess I'm curious. Like, I don't know. I definitely think there's a lot of stuff funky in the US. I'm curious if there's other fronts where maybe we're taking for granted stuff that we actually have that is okay. Can't hear you, Mickey.
They've started producing pills and medicines for women, which they have never done before. The pharma industry produces most of their medicine and pills based on men.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. There was no difference for them. They produced and test and get on the market.
Oh, I think we're having voice issues again. Mickey, we can't hear you.
Crazy, huh?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And the starting point of that is, and then you go to sort of gay and lesbian and all sorts of transsexual and all sorts of. There's so many differences in medicaments what are needed and But it's not a massive profitable market, you know, and it's a very hard thing to put through. You could only do this in politics and like with diversity and things like that to make the farmer people actually do this.
Something I have heard, like, Yari, like you've mentioned before, like, you know, I've also heard the whole, like, the United States is far off on, like, social issues compared to Europe in some aspects. Like, I've heard it from European pirates before. And I like to think that we are more focused on what makes us feel good rather than what is logically necessary. You know, like maternity leave. You know, birth not cost. Like, I mean, after I gave birth to my son, I got a call saying that my labor and delivery was going to cost me about $400,000, and I was like, I'm just being stitched up, and I'm just kind of like, you know, I'm not going to talk about this. You know, it was medically necessary, because that was the argument that Medicare made, is that my labor and delivery wasn't medically necessary. My 40 hours and 20 minutes wasn't medically necessary. There's a baby that had to come out, and it wasn't medically necessary.
How would they expect him to come out if it wasn't medically necessary?
You got me. I don't know. But anyways, that's besides the point right now. The thing is that I had to fight to not pay that bill.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit different because, like, socially, women are kind of seen more as like a breed stock in a way. I'll put that politely, but not really. You know, we're only good for one thing in the GOP, is to like make babies and produce more. But
so my break time is over. I've got to go now. I wish
That's
you
all
the
right.
Thank
best
you
of
so
luck.
much for
Thank
joining
you
us.
so much
We
for
really
coming out.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool.
For joining.
Yeah. See you again sometime, maybe.
Yep, I'd love
Yes.
to talk to you again sometime.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
sleep.
Well, like I
that
was
was
kind of like
nice.
core.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super happy he was able to join. I didn't think we would get any international pirates, but that was really nice.
Yeah.
Mitch, how are you doing?
Good.
Oh, Meg was still talking.
Oh,
Sorry.
Meg, do you want to?
Sorry, if we could wrap up, it'd be great. So, like, it's kind of like, we're all focused on, like, what makes us feel good on legislation. It's less logical. It's more like what makes us feel good. We're not in the mood to stop cops from shooting black people for no reason, or we're not, like, wanting to stop guns making their hands into children and going to school and just killing a bunch of people. I mean, hell, we even have a judge that said Kyle Rittenhouse, you can't call his victims victims because victims is a loaded term. The kid that went across state border from Illinois to Kenosha, Wisconsin, and shot two people.
Yeah,
and
no, I
wounded
know
another.
who
Yeah,
Kyle
yeah.
Rittenhouse is.
Oh yeah. I feel like I should just note there for
Oh,
the
yeah,
sake
no,
of conversation.
of course.
Yeah.
But
Fair
yeah. So the judge said that you can't call his victims, you can't use the word victims to describe the people who died
Yeah.
from his gunshot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're very.
because
Yeah.
it doesn't feel good. Even
I-
though,
I-
how else do you describe that? How else
wonder
do you
if-
describe children who get assaulted by full-grown adults? I mean,
Yeah.
you call them inappropriate content with minors?
I wonder if that's carried over in positive ways though as well, because you've listed a lot of negative stuff, and that same attitude. I wonder if it carries
Oh
over. in
yeah. I
positive
mean, like
ways.
there's some
But-
positivities in that. I mean, yeah,
But,
there probably is. But
I do want to go ahead and give Mitch a second to.
yeah, go.
Yeah.
Take it over.
Actually, my 15-minute break is over. I have to
No,
go.
what?
No.
Yeah.
What? Are you working right now?
I am working right now. That's why I haven't been.
Tell
here
them
this
to
time.
stuff it.
Well, I would love to, but you guys have a great night. I'm glad I can come in and be here.
I'm sorry.
See you guys
That's
later.
all Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Well,
God
the
damn
United States Pirate Party is made out of working people.
No, you're so right.
You
Honestly, I should go soon too because
Oh.
same. I've been making a break for myself.
Mhm.
I understand
My
that.
job
I
just
have
went
been
to
too,
bed.
Frankly.
My
Yeah.
job just went to bed. Parenting is a full-time job. I don't
Oh,
give
yeah.
a damn what
It
people
is.
say.
Yeah.
I really
Which is why
think
some countries
we
pay
could
you
solve
for
a lot of the Well, I wish we could.
Who?
Like, I really wish the government.
it. Oh well, no, dude, is that?
I mean, there's
don't quote,
there's
don't quote me on
paternal
that.
and maternal leave,
There
but
are
it's
programs
only
for it. Is what I mean. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I really wish that the government would pay parents to stay at home. So instead of like people like middle America working 3 to 4 jobs per household and not taking care of the kids and paying somebody else to send them off to childcare. Not that I'm poo-pooing that, okay? I'm not trying to poo-poo all that, but would it be better and more socially effective to pay parents either one or both just to stay at home and take care of their kids, right? So you could fill that gap of loss of income, right? And also taking care of a child is a full-time job. All right. It's not just like changing diapers and whatever. You're still educating them on how to be social. You're educating them on how to interact with the world and how to be adults. And,
Richard is asking about gun rights,
oh, yeah.
which is an interesting thing that we could talk about.
I don't think we have a particular standard on that, do we?
We don't.
We haven't really made we've had a lot of conversations about it in the past. Because it's interesting. There's I think it's a point of actually frankly I think it's a point of
contention.
Not I don't want to say contention necessarily within the Pirate Party. I think it's a point of contention in terms of the nuance of it within the Pirate Party.
Yeah.
It's one of those issues similar to I don't
abortion?
actually want to say similar to abortion because actually I feel like we've mostly settled on the vague like like similar in the contention of the nuance, right? Like within the Pirate Party, the spectrum of opinions on abortion, right, are like out to here, and we are like, we're like over here,
we
and
come in and we
more
compromise
like-
and we figure it out.
but within that, we're all like, right? Because it's a contentious issue, right? And I think the same sort of thing happens with guns, with gun rights. So as to exactly how that plays out, I would say, I mean, like, generally the way it's played out in the past, in my experience, is that, albeit limited, I do not speak for the whole party. I speak for only myself. Is that there's sort of an understanding that the ability to arm citizens, for citizens to arm themselves is important to maintain to some degree. However, there should be much more sensible restrictions than there are in terms of, like, how the heck we do that for, like, the range of what weapons are allowed, and especially how they're sold. I think that's the main thing.
Yes.
Because like it's not so much. I think especially the range of contention is specifically, like, in terms of what weapons should be allowed. I think that's more where the range of contention is with pirates, and less so about, like, everyone that has guns should have training. Because obviously, I think to a pirate, like, everyone that has a gun should have training, and should have it in a lockbox, and should take care of it, and should know how to take care of it. Like, that much is clear. Like,
that's just common sense, like, logical processing.
There are a lot of different parts of, because when we say, like, gun rights, that's not just one issue, that's like 17 different issues.
So there's a big spectrum in all of that.
Because we're pirates, we like to invite the nuance and have different discussions about each part. So saying that people have a right to defend themselves is different than saying that, everyone should have an AK-47 is different than saying, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, like the stand your ground law is...
There's like... I'm sorry, if you can shoot somebody in a parking lot because they backed in, like, you took over your parking space, and you're able to, that's a lot. I'm just... That's a stretch. That's a big stretch there.
I would say that if there's something that most to ease your mind, Richard, I think I would say that most pirates agree that everyone is entitled to some form of self-defense. It can vary, but I think that's something most of us would agree on.
But again, we haven't had, I think, a lot of full discussions about this recently. The last time a full discussion about
I remember
about this, it was back. Last time I participated in one was back when I was with Wisconsin, and when a person who I will not name was part of the party. So
I remember this discussion because I was vice chair during the time. I remember. It was also the time of turfness, so I remember. But it's like the argument it quickly turned into, you're trying to take my guns away, like, really, really fast. And it's like, no, that's not exactly what we're saying. We're wanting to say, like, okay, I bought a firearm. I bought a sniper rifle at the age of 18, 5 months after leaving a psych unit in Indiana. I did that when I was a child on drugs. Like, these things made me hallucinate, and I should never have been on them in the first place, but I was on, but I was permitted, legally given a background check, and cleared out the bat. I remember where it was. It was in Speedway, Indianapolis, is where I bought this gun. And I was not looked at twice. Not at all. No one thought this second that this, like, little tiny white girl was going to do anything wrong. But I just left a psych unit 4 months prior to buying that rifle. the rounds were about as big as my thumb and as long as my middle finger, y'all. So it's like I was able to buy what was I think 50 rounds at one time at once, and that wasn't even the max. There was no limit.
That is marginally terrifying.
Yes,
well,
and
that's
Rose, you know
yeah.
me personally. You know how I'm like 0 to 60 on my anger and all. Would you really want someone like me
No.
handling a weapon? Hell no. I mean, I personally wouldn't want someone like me handling a weapon. Hell no.
I am
But-
glad you are more chilled out now, and also that I don't think you have a sniper rifle.
Oh no, I don't anymore. It was confiscated. It was confiscated during the kidnapping.
Oh
So-
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So
Right.
it became a whole, or it's like you wouldn't want somebody like that holding a gun, would you? Oh hell no, I would not. I just wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
But however, I personally hate guns. Me personally, 100% hate guns. I have lost 8 friends to suicide by gunshot. I have treated people in nursing homes who had bad firings and ended up being catatomically vegetables, to be plain about it. I have treated triplegics because they tried to off themselves by gunshot. I've seen so much death through gunshot. And I think guns are the coward's way out if you're going to be about it. However, I also do understand, I came from a rural country family, so I do understand hunting. Hunting season? Yep. But there's a thing that my father used to tell me when he'd go off hunting and how he'd only take his hunting rifle. Because he said, if anything bigger than that, you're just going to blow off all your meat. There's no point. He would just complain about that all the time.
Welcome, Jude.
And, hey, Jude. But, the Beatles. Sorry.
I'm sure that.
I'm sorry.
he's
And don't hate me for that one. I'm so sorry. But, I mean, if I'm going to kill someone, I at least want to feel the life leave them as I've taken that responsibility on my own.
Okay.
But that's just my personal opinion on it, Al.
All
that's
right.
just,
Is Jude joining us?
I think he's just here to
scare them
observe.
away. Oh, okay. Good. I don't.
No, he's good. He's just here to observe.
Oh, okay. Are you
I
reading messages? I am not
for-
reading messages. No, you're
I don't know.
You're good. You're good, Meg. You're
Like-
good.
Yeah. So, I think yes, but also you shouldn't be able to play military and not go serve. Also, that's another thing. Like the amount of money we give police officers to have military weapons in the hands of civilians.
I think that's a whole separate thing.
Militia,
Yes.
That's
our militia culture is a whole different issue. That there's only even so much
really
political that we can even do about it.
It's really interesting, right? Because it's like because they're like, oh, like it's in the because it's written into the Second Amendment, and because that's like the constantly the Second Amendment.
It's phrase.
Right?
Yeah.
The numbers right. I forget the
2A. 2A.
Right, and it's like okay, so. What what does that mean? What what should we do about that? Is that even reasonable anymore?
I just don't think that the founding fathers were envisioning a bunch of really nerdy 30-year-old white guys who were just super insecure in their masculinity because their life left them. Richard
just asked a question and I am here to answer it. Richard just asked a question and I am here to answer it. Okay, Richard, here's my answer. Absolutely no, fuck no, absolutely no, fuck no. Every teacher you ask about this who has spent any amount of time in a school will answer no. I am a teacher. I have a teacher credential. I have spent time in a school. No. School shooters should be dealt with by hiding and calling the police, not by teachers having guns. Teachers having guns.
The police are killers.
Leave
it to the professionals.
Leave it to the professionals. Leave it to leave it to the professionals, and leave it to hopefully police who are less about whatever. That's a different issue. But having teachers with guns, no teacher wants to have a gun. No teachers are so fucking stressed already. They do not want to have to deal with that on top of, right? Like, if they have a gun, that should be something that they do at home and not. Yes, no,
Yeah,
no,
it is.
no.
Hold
No,
on, hold on. There's
100%
another
no.
thing. Another thing to add to that. Another thing to add to that, Yari. One other thing. Oh, sorry. From my martial arts lessons that I've taken through the years, like
Yes.
8 years.
There's
If you
so many
bring a
ways to
weapon to the
disable.
fight, if you bring a weapon to the fight, the likelihood of it being used against you is high. The likelihood of if you bring a weapon to a fight, if you go looking for a fight and you bring that weapon, in the likelihood of it being taken from you by either a bystander or someone else in the fight is high, and you are going to lose your life to pure stupidity. And
Richard,
teachers, they got enough shit to deal with. They're not soldiers. Teachers are not soldiers. They're there
And we
to
shouldn't expect
educate
them to
and
be.
nurture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Richard,
And
the number of teachers who have disarmed an armed gun person who's come into the school is actually fairly high. But the number of teachers who have shot an armed gunman with another gun who has come into a school is you can count on your hands. It's like very low.
The thing is,
but teachers have like when armed gunmen have come into schools to shoot, which is thankfully.
It's common at suburban high schools and stuff. It's like really popular in suburbia.
Still thankfully less rare or less common than we can fear, and more common than we would hope.
Columbine wasn't even supposed to be a shooting. Like, we all know this, right? The Columbine was a botched bombing that turned into a shooting, and it was glorified not only by the media,
not just kung fu. You just tackle them.
Of, like, the tackling, yes.
The
But
thing
actually, that
is,
is listed in the Amtrak safety thing. If you can't hide and you can't do anything, in the Amtrak safety lists of like their movies and stuff they show at train stations, is you are supposed to hide, run, call for help, and if all else fails, you do in mass. You go out, you throw things, you get in their face, you tackle. It's not just one person, it is many, because the sheer amount of overwhelmed power, no one can keep up with that.
No,
but let's just be honest. Let's not throw people to be bullet fodder.
The thing is, the chances of you having your gun and actually dealing with this situation by shooting the invader,
bad guy, and actually getting called the bad guy.
That's what makes people feel better, unfortunately. But the point is, the chances of you doing that successfully are not any higher than the chances of you successfully lunging at them. It just makes people hypothetically feel better to have a gun instead of lunging at them. But it is not. The chances of you being shot while you're lunging at them is probably just as high as you being shot because you didn't pull your gun first. So it's really just an illusion of safety.
What it also does is it puts guns in the school. And then the question is, if you have guns in the school, who is the shooter that's coming into the school? Is it usually what it is it's one of the other students. And if the students want to get their hands on the gun and they know about the policy of teachers having guns, how easy is it for them to get a gun?
They want to be the hero.
No, Neil, here's my other question. If a
toddler,
student wants to come in and do a shooting, if a hypothetical student wants to, they can just grab the teacher's gun now.
And then they can just start shooting people,
And each classroom has on average 28 to 35 students in each classroom. You just got a bunch of bodies right there. And I mean, people are more likely to be killed by their toddlers with their loaded arms in their purses or in their bags.
Never put guns in schools.
We would just be creating like a school shooter starter kit.
That's exactly what it is. The way you make schools more safe is by making sure that is not by doing metal detectors even, actually. There has been research done on this, and I can go find the papers for you. Metal detectors don't actually even work. Because actually, when you start policing and using like metal detector methods to make sure that students don't bring weapons into school, they're more likely to make weapons and bring weapons to school.
I mean, it's the kind of taboo. It's like you make a rule that you can't drink before you're 21. What happens to a bunch of early on
Kids drink
teenagers
before they're
going to
21.
college? You know, if you lower the limit and put in like sensible rules and education on culture and use of, then the taboo falls away.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's been like they legalized weed in some states, but you know there hasn't been an uptick in adolescent use. There has not.
Yeah.
It's actually been the opposite in every study that I've read so far. Is the use of has dropped significantly for minors because it's no longer cool. Who cares? You can go buy it at the dispensary. It loses its fun in a year.
It's interesting how
Soji.
Sorry. You're good. The culture that we establish around things, the incentives for culture that we establish around actions has just as much of an effect as direct action against them. And I think that's something that we need to remember whenever we're making
She's
laws.
demanding attention. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's all right.
My lap is here. My lap is here, and there's a cat.
Thank you for I'm very passionate about school stuff. Spent a lot of time with them.
Oh yes. But it's a scary thought, and I have had
I've had to train for lots of school shooters.
I never did. Like I never had a school
bless.
shooting drill. Never did in my life. Never.
Bless.
I graduated in 2008. My high school was so new. It was created in 04. And I graduated in 08. We were dished out laptops. My school, it's like, it was good. And then it turned hardcore Catholic once the Pence's kids arrived. But it was good until 2007. But whatever. The concept of metal detectors and drug tests weren't there because the principal who founded the school wanted to allow students to grow and thrive and create a community in their faith and their love and interest in themselves. We had one student who used his tap card. So our school issued like ID cards like everyone else's school, but ours could actually let us into the building before ours.
Yeah. Nope, that's not.
So
Yeah.
we had one student who brought the rival football team from Brebeuf Jesuit High School in, and they broke a butt ton of windows, spray painted the fuck out of stuff, broke things, stole things. And instead of dealing with the police, they brought the student in front of the student council, and we had a trial by peers. And we discussed what his punishment actually should be, because we thought that sending him off to prison or jail for massive larceny and abuse of privileges was a little too high for a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
So what we decided to do was have him help the janitor fix it all. Install it, suspend his after-school privileges, basically give him a detention starting at 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. to go work in the school to fix it, clean it, and maintain it.
And honestly, the social fuckery alone of having a trial in front of all your peers is
Oh, but here's the stack of it all.
kiss.
This is like what happened. So
kiss.
you'd have to like because we had to write the rules. I was on the committee that wrote the rules for the school handbook. Like that's how in depth this principal wanted us to make this.
That's awesome.
And so that
That's
there
really
were kids
good.
that violated. You had to have.
Because that's direct democracy.
If you were a freshman, if you were a
Run
freshman,
your schools
you'd
with
have,
direct democracy.
Yes. You will learn. It's like yes. Oh my God, yes. Because if you have students that actually are responsible for their behaviors
on trial
and you
answer for your crimes.
Yes, instead of like noting that you're a complete douche nozzle who's stealing stuff for devious licks or whatever. But instead of dealing with the cops, there's an in-school suspension. You're docked for this shit. It's so bureaucratic and boring. No one learns. But if you have to clean up your mess, replace it, or fess up and talk about your problems in front of the school, if you have to stand with the jury of your own peers, like we had it set up so that you were a freshman, you had most of your peers were freshmen. We had a couple of upperclassmen, a couple upperclassmen above that. But it's just like we tried to make it so that it was a leading process, a discussion. You had to argue what you did. We had another student that would say, this is what happened, and here's all the evidence, and you had to argue your own case, saying like, this is what I did, this is why I did it. You'd argue how much you were responsible or culpable for it, and you had to do it all on your own.
That is fascinating.
If more schools, here's
Oh, that was scrapped out in
Hypothesis.
07 when the Pence's kids came in.
hypothesis.
It's not complete theocracy.
If more schools were run with direct democracy, would we have more students coming out of schools and exerting political pressure on our government because they find that their government doesn't exercise direct democracy?
Oh, well, I just think
yes.
in general,
I think
any
yes.
experience like that would help students become more active and motivated to change things. I mean, I had not like any experiences like that, but I had opportunities to become involved with local politics, as I was in high school.
I did.
And that definitely is part of the reason why I'm here today, right?
Same.
So anything like that is good, and it gets people interested in civics and the actual processes of their local communities or their states or their country. And I think we could all agree, since we're all here, that's pretty important.
Yeah.
I think because I was raised in rural Indiana, I went to Catholic grade school, Catholic high school. I mean, we had several. Once 07 hit, the rules changed. I mean, we had the principal had left the school, had quit to pursue better options for himself, and I get that. But once that happened, it turned into a theocracy. I mean, hard-ass theocracy. There was a school study hour that was implied for after school. It's called ASH, Academic Support Hour, which is meant to go after school between the time of dismissal at 2:45 to 4 p.m. It got moved to midday and then changed to Kairos, meaning God's time.
Kairos.
Yep.
So it became you had to go to mass with your study hall once a week, and if not twice a week if you were up in rotation.
Kairos. Wow.
I hated it. I hated it with a passion because it gave teachers the ability to say, well, I got to go to mass, or it's Jesus time, I got to go. So they could choose not to stay with you if your study hall if you had reserved them. Happened a lot to me. But it became a constant option. And the school started flowing into this concept of, well, would Jesus do this? It really became into that. And any punishment was either met with hush, hush, quiet, quiet, because my school was super expensive. Like, I'm not going to lie, tuition right now is $21,000. When I started, it was $12,000 a year. And right now it's $21,000. You have to pay for a hair drug test. Yeah.
Jeez, really?
Yeah, if you get admitted. You have to pass the test and then pass the drug test.
I hate that. I hate that so much. Like, just even the idea.
And your parents, there's also the whole suspicion of if you're doing drugs, you can have a parent or a friend of a parent who randomly selects you. And you will have to go do the drug test that day, that minute out of class. There's no autonomy. The students have no rights. It is all based on, we want a family-friendly Catholic Christian family here, and we need to make sure y'all aren't doing drugs. Because that's bad. That's sinful. We had a girl who got pregnant. You know what?
Right?
Oh, yeah, guess what?
How was that dealt with?
You're not going to like it. Okay, so we had the new residing principal in 07 who she had gotten pregnant while she was being admitted to the school. She showed up, and she was told either she could be discreet about her decision or she could leave.
We have to be hush-hush about it.
Here's something. I was outed to the entire school. So also, you want to talk about like anti-LGBT shit here? I was outed to the entire school. There was a letter sent to all the parents, and that's how my parents found out.
Yeah.
Because there was a school-wide letter mailed.
Wait, how did they get that info?
Well, there was something that some students saw. I mean, politely putting it, I was snogging another girl in the bathroom, and someone saw.
And someone reported it.
And the other girl, yes, they reported it, and the other girl called, like, I was coerced. She made me do it.
Oh.
And
I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah, and I was
terrible.
16 and the other girl was 14, but since she was a freshman, I was seen as a horrible upperclassman who took advantage of a young girl, and the whole school knew because every one of the parents got a letter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
So for
yeah.
every beautiful thing that the school had, there was a nasty underbelly. And it was all hush hush and hidden. I mean, I didn't even, okay, you want to talk about the white supremacy and Catholicism in Carmel, Indiana? We could all day. But I didn't meet
we
my
can do
first,
that, but
I didn't meet my first black person or even other non-white person. Let's just say that non-white person until I moved to Indianapolis when I was 20.
that sounds about right. I've heard multiple stories of, I mean, in Greene County, people tell the stories of them meeting their first minority like it's some kind of rite of passage. It's
Because it
it's
kind of
bad.
is. It kind of is. And I'm not here to like brag about this or like make note of it, but it really is. It really is. And it's
That's
really
just so.
disturbing.
I mean, like I.
Well, 'cause
What?
it's Indiana. I mean, like, it's
I mean,
Indiana.
yeah, I guess.
Indiana's weird, dude.
No, yeah.
Like, you've
Yeah.
met my parents, Pros. You've met at least
Well,
one of them.
Well,
But,
yeah.
you know, I mean, my mother's a little bit more liberal for the others, but I mean, it really is. It's quite normal. It is quite normal, and that's
It's
Indiana.
I was very happy to be raised in a large city, I guess, because of that. Because like you
Please
know,
be
you
happy
get
for
the
us. Be happy for
Your
us.
your family's a bunch of unicorns. Your families are unicorns.
Well, no, I mean compared to Indiana, maybe. Compared to Indiana, maybe.
Oh,
You have no idea.
compared to a lot of other shit I've seen, not really.
I mean,
Compared to a lot of other shit, it's like, you know, like we could do better.
I mean, Ohio. I mean, my favorite story is this one. My ex-girlfriend, who's trans. Let's start there, right? My ex-girlfriend Jenny, she came out to her parents when she was like what, 30 or 28 or something. It's just at the end of her like multiple years in college, and she finally came home and just said it, right?
Mhm.
They have always kept her old portraits up from high school, college, all over the walls. Will
Yep.
refuse to name
Yeah.
her by her name.
Uh-huh.
Dead use improper pronouns on purpose.
Uh-huh.
And the only reason why they approved of me dating her is because, oh, she's dating a girl.
Yeah,
But of
and
course,
so
they
it's
used
like
improper pronouns and dead
straight,
named all the way.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, which is the only reason why my parents were okay with me dating a trans woman. It's
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I couldn't get pregnant, and at least this woman, you know, was the way she was. And that, again, is
Yeah.
Indiana logic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's just like, that was a normal. And I mean, I
No,
still get
that's
called names. Like,
I've had that with a lot of my friends too. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like,
That's
it's really,
not
it's
unusual. It's
it's
interesting.
hard.
Like we talk about like how you know I am impressed and happy that there's been a certain degree of like toppling of the dominoes with regards to queer
Mhm.
rights in the United States, where you know there's a plurality of states that followed along with certain things, and then the U.S. federally
Yeah.
just went.
Oh,
You know,
yes, Richard.
Mhm.
Indiana is very dark. I hate to
Fe-
break it to you.
Indiana's a cesspool.
you know, federally just went along with it. But yeah, no, there is a lot of. There are a lot of cases, and I don't think it's just Indiana either. Like, there's a lot of cases
Indiana's
of.
just it's brainwashed. The whole state thinks everything's the same
Honestly,
outside
no.
of it.
Here's
It's
the
like,
thing. Here's the thing. I do want to mention. Like, I mean, frankly, California ain't all that chalked up to
oh
be
no, it's
either.
not.
No,
Yeah.
like
No.
because like here's the thing. Right? Okay. I want to talk about this, right? Because like there was this proposition. There were a whole series of propositions. Which propositions, by the way, great thing, wonderful thing that California has. Wonderful. It's great. It's this idea that like, okay, every so often we're gonna have a chance for citizens to introduce. It's direct democracy in action, kind of. It's I say kind of. Basically, it's the idea that like every so often we're gonna have citizens have the ability to introduce amendments or additions to California law, right? And basically they introduce them. Those ideas, if they get enough signatures, they go on the ballot. They just go on the ballot. They just go on the ballot.
Yeah.
And then, cool. Now they're on the ballot. You vote yes or no. There's analyses of them. The analyses are beautiful. The analyses are amazing. They give like a really detailed, I cannot rant enough about the analyses and how thorough they are in the detail of like, if you vote yes, this is what happens. If you vote no, this is what happens.
Oh my gosh, you're
Anyway.
gonna have a bureaucratic orgasm. I love it.
Pretty
I
much.
love it.
You're not wrong.
I love it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And I'm
Anyway,
not shaming it either. I'm not shaming.
You're not wrong.
I
It's-
don't want it.
I there's a reason why I always was a fan of the city clerks when I worked with Milwaukee. Anyway, so here's the thing. There are a whole bunch of propositions recently, and one of them was this idea, which was that those who have been what is it? There were two propositions that I was tracking in particular. One was shoot. I kind of want to look them up now. There were a few actually. So there was one for people who California has felons and people in the prison system that work as firefighters for the wildfires. That's a thing. Because people in prisons do a whole bunch of work across all the states. That's how a lot of free labor gets done. Free or low-cost labor gets done across the United States. It's a problem.
Slave labor.
It's slave labor, but without the name.
It's extra steps.
Yeah, slave labor with extra steps. And then so that's a thing. So then one of the propositions was saying that those who do firefighting in the wildfires will get the chance to reduce their sentences based on that. Based on that work.
Much?
A little bit.
Does sound a little weird, but
Squid Game.
Another one was saying that felons will, with sentences for minimal crimes under a certain stuff, like not murder and all that jazz, but like really basic shit,
not like ultra violent crimes like murder,
yeah,
sexual violence, that sort of thing, but
marijuana and stealing things and I
took a shit on my neighbor's lawn every day, and I felt defecated.
That sort of stuff. Yeah.
And sometimes I don't even put my pants on afterwards.
Right. That sort of stuff. Right. So like if you got that's weird. If you got prison time for that, like and if you got a felony
If
for
that was you.
If that was you, you would normally not be able to vote because you got marked for a felony. But now after a certain amount of time, after prison time, and then after a certain amount of time afterwards, the California law would be changed to say yes, you can.
Which, by the way, the concept of felons not being allowed to vote after they've served their time is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, by the way,
period. I don't care if you murdered 80 babies. I don't care. You serve your time. You are done. You're done. You're done. You can vote and be a normal citizen again.
Voting rights being stripped away. I think
think felons, I think people in prison should be allowed to vote. I think they should, because they are just as much humans as the rest of us, and they should be allowed to vote in their fucking cells. There's no, there's
no
no
reason.
pause, there's no but in anything of the whole, you can vote if you're over 18. There should be no fucking buts about that.
There are plenty of people not in prison that will never be caught that have done worse, and they still have the right to vote. So
thank you.
They will never vote. Like, there are people who aren't even registered because why should I bother? Meanwhile, there are people who can't vote because of laws that restrict their rights. Because what did they do? Get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, or maybe they did do it. It's none of my business. I don't give a damn. They're still a breathing human being with 2 legs, and they hold a U.S. passport or have a birth certificate for the United States. They should be allowed to vote.
Well, it's the same thing with any other voting restriction. I mean, who's going to speak up for the voting rights of someone? I mean, the people who can vote have to do it, but I mean, what? You know, it's the same thing as giving any other group of people the right to vote. You can do so much more to that population because they don't have the right to vote.
I mean, it's like when you're a mental health. Okay, so here's the fun stuff. So when you go to a mental health facility and say, I'm experiencing this problem, you do know the nurses and doctors can do anything they want to you. And if you speak out and you say something about it and complain to the hospital, they can just deny it happened.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
That is also
because
a huge issue.
A crazy person said it. A crazy person said it. Like, I'll put that in quotations because that's what I've dealt with. You know, I've had doctors who placed hands in places where hands should not go if you're working on my wrist, you know. But I reported them to the hospital, and the hospital said, oh, well, they don't work with us. Are you sure you saw them at this office? If so, then they must be privately contracted, and you're going to have to talk to their HR, which is bada bing, bada boom, that doctor. So what do? Nothing. You do nothing. So it's again, you remove the ability for people to freely speak and defend themselves by removing their freedom to do so. And you use it by arbitrary means.
Our mental health system,
let's just be honest,
people
like
with
black
mental
people
issues are treated in this country. I don't know if it's better or worse than the other countries, but I can speak from experience. In this country, at the very least, it's terrible. The way we treat people with mental issues, we consider them other. We say that it's gotten better since the 50s and 60s, only marginally so, frankly.
It's gotten better in a different way. It is like, I'm not going to be sent off to a home.
Societal pace that everything else is going. We need to pick it up.
If you're on disability, you get married, you lose your benefits. If you're on disability, you choose to do something, you make too much money, you lose your benefits. If you're on disability, you can legally be paid up to half, which is less than what the federal minimum wage is, depending upon the state, because states' rights take precedent over the federal minimum wage. If I got paid at Goodwill $5.75 an hour. And the excuse that my manager had said when he told me why I was being paid so less, because I was like, I'm 2 weeks in, I got my first paycheck, and I'm like, wait, I'm only being paid $5.75 an hour? I thought the federal minimum was $7.25. His explanation was, well, you're on disability. You're not like 100% of a person, right? And you want to talk about this separate but equal bullshit? You know, I've been loaded, like, I've had a wheelchair at one point, I'd be loaded through the back of a restaurant because they don't have a ramp or access.
Right.
And that's 100% normal. Like, you get loaded into a bus via the back. You get put in the back with the ADA stuff, or the back with this stuff, or the cleaning products. You get put in the back by the bathroom. You get put in the back. There is no access. And then people will bitch about it because, oh, well, that means I have to redesign something or put a ramp down or like make extra room.
I know.
Or...
And it's frustrating because like what I really one of the things that I think is most important to keep in mind is something that is I lovingly called the curb cut effect.
Yes.
Which is wonderful and beautiful, and if only we would embrace disabled friendly design more, perhaps we would be able to see more of it.
Japan is phenomenal about it. Like, I mean, I've had friends of mine who've gone over who are either wheelchair bound. I've had friends of mine who are blind that live in Japan and can do so entirely on their own. because of the little bumps. They're a Japanese creation. That's what we've adopted in the United States. The rigid little bumps
Yeah,
you'll see. They have ones that are out everywhere. The fact that taxis will open the doors for you because it's just they're automated to do so. The driver never leaves. The door just opens up for you. You know, most lights already have the beeping things. It's already there. The tick-to-talk things, totally cool because it's there. To get on a subway or a train, you just follow the lines. Like literally, the lines have different widths depending on which route you're taking, which one you're waiting for, and where the elevator is. And they're all lined up there. It is far more accessible in Japan, in a country that's so, like, sometimes weirdly backwards on social issues. But for disabilities, it's like they don't want you to be taking up the space. They don't want you to be a burden, so they give you the ability to not be.
Yeah, they
So
give you
it's
the
kind
ability
of
to not be
it's
seen.
like it's really
That's-
poorly placed, like it's poorly worded. Like let me just phrase this again. It's really poorly worded. But
Yeah.
it's about so Japan is mostly about being polite in a large place with a large population in a tiny area, you know?
Right.
And if you are not bound to be able to be the same as everyone, well, the only way for you not to be a problem is to give you this same ability for everyone else. So it's not exactly the most best method, but yeah, no.
Better access in some ways. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I hear that. There's there's definitely well, and this so the curb cut effect is the idea that which I love, which is the idea that if you it's named after curb cutting, which you know when the curbs on sidewalks go down right the corners right. Which
So you don't
is,
have to like have like this giant step up and then step
right,
down.
which was originally because of like wheelchairs and other disability access, but then it's like it's useful for pretty much everyone else too. So it's
Yeah,
the idea
like,
that
what's
it's the
the
idea
problem?
that disability access is useful for others and can help.
Yeah. I know. I was on a
By the way-
YouTube. There was a girl that was kicked out of Millennium Park here in Chicago recently. She's wheelchair bound and she couldn't go to the two like faces, you know, the spitting fountains.
Yeah.
It was just this last summer. She was kicked out and asked to leave because she was in a wheelchair. That was actually the only reason.
Wow.
She was asked to leave because her in a wheelchair was unsafe and they didn't have any ramp or bump over to help her into the water pad. So she was asked to leave and was forced to by police officers.
Wow.
And the comment section was about as ripe as you'd expect. I said, yeah, that's about it. Separate but equal is about how the ADA works right now. And if somebody deems you a burden, then you're just a burden. You can't do anything. And the comment I got after that was, well, you know, not to be a stickler, it is kind of troublesome to make stuff accessible for you guys. And I was kind of like, tell me you're an asshole without telling me you're an asshole. You know? It's like, all right, fine. So what's so bad about making curbs easier? What's so bad about putting ramps into restaurants? Everyone loves to take the elevator on the CTA, but never take the stairs. But they just take it so people with disabilities can't, you know, get down in time. You know, it's a common problem that I have right now is you'll have able-bodied people. I mean, able-bodied means they don't have a cane, don't have scooter, don't have wheelchair, don't need any accessibility to move. I mean, that's surely what I'm judging. Surely. But they'll pack in and stand on the elevator and get in and kick people out.
Yeah.
Because they want to take the elevator down without having to walk.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You know,
as much as I understand, I'm also like, to walk down the stairs with a cane is really hard in Chicago sometimes, guys. It really is. It really is. But it's like one of those.
I regretfully have to leave.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
have so much
That's all
work
right.
left to do tonight.
It might
Take
be best for
care.
me to go ahead and head out as
Yeah,
well, actually.
Same. It's 10:34 here. I better get to bed.
Let's wrap this up
Yep.
then, I suppose.
All right. Yep.
Thank you all for joining us for this
Yes, of course.
this chat thing. I know we didn't really talk about the Patriot Act, y'all. But you know, it sucks. All the rest of
does.
our videos
Patriot
pretty
Act,
much
bad.
talk about that. I mean, like, here's the
Yeah.
thing, right? Yeah, there's a couple things that are like decent enough, okay, legislation in it, but the fact of the matter is we need to repeal it so that we can just
Yeah.
Do you
work
save a
without all
poison
the.
because it has? Do you save a poison because it has a couple of good benefits, or the fact that it kills millions by the day, or do you not? I mean, I just
But
the
bleach is
damage
great
it does out.
Bleach is great for getting stains out of clothes. Why would we not want people to drink it?
Yes, exactly. So, all these lovely analogies. Anyway, I'm just gonna do my little hype squad thing here. Please
Alright.
go ahead and subscribe to our channel to
Oh,
see more updates
note
for
on
the
that.
rest of our other stuff
Note on that.
tomorrow.
I checked the metrics today. 80% of the people that watch our videos are not subscribed to our channel. So I'm going to peer
What?
pressure you. If you're one of those 80%ers, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You don't have to be a member or prospective member of the Pirate Party.
Nope, we will not hassle you. We will not hunt
Yeah.
you down. We
So
will not
long-
ask you to join.
So long as
Just-
you're not watching this but think that we're doing irreversible harm to the world or something, there is no issue with subscribing to our channel to see what we're up to, even if you're just a passerby that likes to keep up with third parties.
I'm so sorry.
Smash that like button. Hit
Anyway.
the
And
little
hit
bell
like
we
icon.
just gotta do it.
subscribe.
But thank you all for joining, and have
Shit,
a
I'm old.
lovely evening. If you're watching this in the future, there should be links for all the stuff down below. If you do want to
Yes.
get involved, uspirates.org.
Yep,
Has all
sign
the
our
things that
petition.
you need.
It's on our website.
Sign our petition. It is
Sign our
also in the
petition.
description below.
It's also in the description.
Yeah.
And
Thank you
tweet
all.
with the Unpatriot Act hashtag and be back here
Hashtag
tomorrow at Wednesday.
Unpatriot Act.
Wednesday.
I don't know what our exact schedule is for Wednesday.
8
because we're at it.
p.m.
Wednesday.
Eastern
Yep.
is the first time. Oh no, that's right. We're doing another live stream for.
We might do part 2 of our
There'll
Patriot
be
Act
announcements.
tier list.
There'll be
There will be
announcements on
announcements.
Twitter and
Keep up with it. Follow our
and
Twitter.
there'll be stuff here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But thank you for coming out. It's been a blast. We really appreciate all of your questions and engagement that we've had in the chat. I think that's probably one of the most. Throughout this event, we've had a pretty active chat. We've had more than just 1 or 2 people.
I'm out,
I
y'all.
really appreciate
Bye.
that.
Yep.
But night.
fair enough. All right, cool.
All right.
We're done.